Like it felt like I was getting stabbed in the asshole. And it was like 2:30 in the morning. And I'm like, Trav, I'm like, I can't fucking do it. I can't do it. Take me to the hospital.
The way I would snap if I was pregnant and somebody was like, probably not. I'd be like, are you fucking for real?
They kept trying to like distract me by bringing him over. And I was like, I cannot hold my baby while he's in my vagina giving me stitches. You gotta wait.
What's going on, internet? Welcome back to the URL versus IRL podcast. I'm your host, Bree Lynch, and today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. I have my two other co-hosts on this episode with me today, Casey and Sydney, but we are actually not doing a Girls vs. World episode today. Today, we're going to be interviewing Sydney, so you guys can get to know her a little bit more before you keep listening to Girls vs. World. So I'll roll the intro music, and then we'll get into it. Girls, welcome to the podcast.
Hey.
Yeah, welcome back to URL versus IRL, Sid. Excited to have you here.
Yeah,
How are
happy to
we?
be back.
I'm so glad that you guys are here. So today, I know we told the audience that we're going to be interviewing you, but I have a very specific thing I want to talk to you about. And that is being a stay-at-home mom. Because I feel like we could get real internet versus reality with
Sure
that
can
kind
be.
of shit. Okay, do you want to tell us the story of like your intro to being a mom? Like, give us some lore.
I need to
Buckle
know.
up. This is going to be very TMI, by the way. And
Can't wait.
like one magical thing that happens in motherhood is you just like stop giving a fuck. Like I'll talk to literally everybody about like literally having to get stitches in my cooter. Like I don't care at this point, which we'll get there, babe. Don't worry.
Casey's like, I'm never having kids.
No.
So yeah. So one thing also just for starters, like Theo was planned.
Okay.
So it
I
wasn't,
didn't know that.
Yeah. So he wasn't like an accidental or, you know, oopsie or whatever, happy accident. He was like planned. Like we very much planned him.
Good for him. I wasn't planned.
Which is fine too. I'm not sure that I was either. I think my brother was the only one that was, but
Okay.
or maybe both of my brother. I don't know. Anyways, so he was planned. So that's another thing I feel like people wouldn't expect just because like Travis and I aren't married. So people would just be like, "Oh, baby dad."
Yeah,
you
right.
know, which we make that joke all the time. But
I love that word.
yeah, always baby mama, baby dad. Yeah, he literally got me for Christmas a shirt that just says "I heart my baby dad."
I love that.
But yeah, so basically my birth story, we'll start there. So I had a little bit of a difficult like / rough pregnancy towards the tail end of it.
Were you vomiting?
Well, I was vomiting a lot in the beginning up until like halfway through like the second trimester.
Immediate no.
Yeah, it was rough.
Immediately
it
no.
was rough. All I could eat was sumo oranges and I think ramen with lemon juice in it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck
and
up.
everything else I was just throwing up constantly.
Oh, God.
So that was a little bit rough in itself. But I had really swollen ankles and like really swollen face. Like really, I was just like really puffy. And I was like very uncomfortable. My feet were hurting all the time. I had like restless leg syndrome, basically, like where you're just sitting in bed and like you just can't stop moving your feet, your legs, and like it just was so uncomfortable. And then I had a feeling because like I would go to the doctor and they would take my blood pressure and they would have to take it a couple times because it would be like teetering on like when they would like send you to the emergency room to get checked.
Oh, God.
So
and you want more kids?
Yeah. Oh, hell fucking yeah,
Okay,
girl.
continue, please.
So it like I think I was like almost like pre-eclamptic.
Okay.
Which preeclampsia is like something that is very dangerous for like women to get. Sometimes they get it before they have the baby and they're like basically on like bed rest for the rest of whatever. A lot of times they have like a planned C-section if that happens too. And sometimes people can get it even afterwards, which is really dangerous. And like I think it's like their kidneys and their liver like has damage and it's like a whole thing. So I think that I was like pre-eclamptic because I had like also like proteins in my urine and shit. It was like a whole hot mess.
Whoa.
So needless to say, I basically spoke it into existence because I was also working at the hotel and I was working crazy hours on my feet, covering shifts all the time. Because in hospitality management, you can't say no, basically.
Right.
Like if there's a call out, even if it's overnight, I'm working it.
Jesus.
So doing that pregnant, very humbling experience.
I'm sure.
But I was, I had like the date, they give you a date on like, okay, here's like your due date. And so with that in mind, I kind of told my boss, hey, here's my due date. I'm probably going to take my 2 weeks of vacation for the 2 weeks leading up to it. So I have time at home to settle, to like finish nesting, whatever.
Yeah.
And I kept making the joke. I think that I'm going to go on maternity leave and he's going to come the day after. And guess what fucking happened? I went on maternity leave and he came the day after. So I went on maternity leave. I went to Trav's mom. She has like a saltwater pool. Best shit ever for a pregnant lady. 10 out of 10.
Did you have a birth plan?
Just to go to the hospital.
Okay, because some people I read on Instagram like get crazy about a birth plan.
They do.
Yeah, like
and
water births and
I
stuff.
wanted like a doula at first, and I wanted like a what do they call it? I'm blanking on the word right now.
Midwife?
Yeah, midwife, yeah.
So I actually started off early in my pregnancy with a midwife, and after I like kind of talked to everybody, like because I had such anxiety with giving birth. Like, and something going terribly wrong, I was like, you know what? I think, at least for the first one, I definitely want to just like go to the doctor, go to the hospital and have just like doctors. Because another thing too is like, a lot of people don't realize this, but you could have like a favorite doctor at like whatever practice, like for OBGYNs, but they have you meet all the doctors because you never fucking know who's like actually on the night that you go into labor.
Right.
So the only time you know for a fact you're going to have the doctor like that you want, like you can hope for it. But a lot of the times, like, unless you have a scheduled C-section, like you're probably not going to get the doctor you want. Even then, like my sister had a scheduled C-section and she ended up getting a doctor she never even met because her doctor was like, there was like an emergency and he had to stay. So
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, so
I feel like you just never know.
You never really
you just
you really
have to
don't.
plan for the unexpected.
Yeah, 100%. And like, so I kind of was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it the good old fashioned way,
right?
With an epidural in mind as well.
And that's what I was about to ask next. Did you want drugs?
Give me all the drugs. I said
I would need drugs.
I said to all my doctors, I will take as many drugs as I can possibly get. And actually the hospital that I delivered at, they offer laughing gas.
What?
So if you are a person that wants to try all natural where you don't want an epidural, laughing gas, you can have that and it'll kind of like take the edge off.
Okay.
But
shit.
I don't want to feel nothing.
Yeah. But so where was I? Oh, I was floating around in Trav's mom's pool, relaxing, big old belly up, like a little fucking beached whale, basically. Yeah. And then I went home, and then at like 2:30 in the morning, I woke up and I was having contractions.
Oh.
And so from 2:30 in the morning to, like 7:30, I was just like up. I would fall back asleep, and every time I started to have a contraction, I would wake up.
Can you explain what those contractions like actually feel like? So like, because people say they hurt and some people say they're bearable. I'm a pussy, so like, actually say like, what does a contraction feel like?
In the beginning, it definitely feels uncomfortable. How severe they get goes with time,
right?
So in the beginning, it literally feels like you have like period cramps, but it starts over here and it like moves and then it just kind of like holds and then it releases. And then maybe it's 10, 15 minutes later, maybe it's 5 minutes later, maybe it's 2 minutes later, you have another one.
Okay.
But the intensity gets more and more and more, and the spot that you have it in, like you'll start to get them in your lower back, you'll start to get them in your literal ass. Your literal ass.
Oh no!
That's I got a shit in my ass.
Yes. It literally feels like you're getting punched in the fucking ass. It's literally the fucking worst. But anyway, so I woke up with having contractions, and I was tracking my contractions, and they weren't getting any closer together. They were getting a little bit more uncomfortable after like a couple hours. And Trav, when his alarm went off, I said, "Hey." I don't know for sure, but I think I might be in labor. And he was like, okay, I'm not going to get up and get ready to work or to go to work until I know for sure. So I called as soon as, I think 8 a.m. on the dot, I called and I talked to one of the doctors and I explained, and he was like, okay, well, once they're a minute long for a minute, what was it? Once they're a minute long for like 5 minutes straight and 5 minutes apart or something like that. I think it's like the 5-1-1 rule. I don't remember exactly what it was. But basically saying like, here's the criteria. Until you meet those criteria,
suffer.
He's probably coming soon, but you're probably not in active labor. You probably are having like they're like fake contractions, basically.
The Braxton Hicks.
Yes.
I learned that on Grace.
Yes.
The way I would snap if I was pregnant and somebody was like, probably not. I'd be like, are you fucking for real?
But like, it's like you don't know. And it was my first time too. So I'm like, okay, like I guess not. So I call my doctor, he says like, oh, probably soon, but like, just wait until like your contractions are like 5 minutes together or 5 minutes like in between.
Yeah.
And they last a minute long. And I think for like 5 minutes straight was like the criteria. So I was like, okay. Or for an hour straight it was. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
5 minutes in between contractions. Your contractions last a minute long for one straight hour.
Okay.
Once that happens, you're in active labor. You need to go to the doctor. So all day I was he went to work, Trav went to work. I was like, all right, if anything changes, I'll call you to come home early. All day I labored at home. And I'm literally like every time I would have a contraction, I would press a button on my phone to track my contraction and I would press it again when it would end. And it would track how long in between. And sometimes they would get closer together and then they'd go back, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, then down to 7 minutes, then 8 minutes. Like it was kind of going back and forth. So I was like, okay, well, they're not getting any closer together, but they were getting more intense.
Right.
So
the way I would be like, they're 5 minutes apart for 1 hour. I gotta come.
Right.
I would lie.
Yeah.
I
would lie too.
But I was like,
once I'm there, what are you gonna do with me?
They'll send you home.
What are you gonna do?
They'll send you home.
I'm not leaving.
They'll literally send you home.
My
Do a
chest
C-section
hurts.
right fucking
My
now.
chest hurts automatically.
Suddenly, I don't know if I'm in respiratory distress
Right.
or not.
I might be dying. We don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm physically unable to move, so
Right.
I have to stay here now.
Yeah.
Because once I feel pain, it's like I need something to make it stop now.
Yeah.
I literally would be like, put that shit in me.
Yeah.
So like, can I use a heating pad?
I'm kind of the opposite. So I thought I did not have a high pain tolerance. But I also was like super paranoid that I was being a pussy.
Right.
So I was like, nah, like I'm going to hold it out. The doctor said this is the criteria. I'm not fitting in this criteria, so I'm not going to the hospital.
Fuck
so
no.
Trav
Now is
comes
not
home
the
from
time to
work.
be stubborn.
I'm literally having contractions in my like lower back at that point. And it would like start my lower back and it would ruminate all the way around to my stomach. And then it would be really intense and then it would stop. And they were like 7 minutes apart, I would say 7 to 10 minutes apart at that point in time. He got me like a fucking hoagie. I couldn't even eat more than a couple bites of it. I was crying. I was like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable. But I was like, I guess I got to wait longer.
Like, were you realistically in a lot of pain?
Yes.
Like throughout, like
I was in a
for
lot
like
of,
hours and hours.
Yes, but like at some point it was bearable until it got to my lower
Right.
back. And then that night, they still weren't consistent, but I was feeling it in my ass. Like it felt like I was getting stabbed in the asshole. And it was like 2:30 in the morning. And I'm like, drive home and I'm like, I can't fucking do it. I can't do it. Take me to the hospital. So he's like, okay, but like the doctor said, and I was like, I don't give a fuck. They can send my ass home. Like take me to the hospital. So it's like 15 minutes away. We get to the hospital. He pulls up. I hop out. I go into the waiting room and I'm like, I think I might be in labor. Hi, how are you?
You pull it together
Like,
automatically.
yes, and they're like, oh, girl, you're in labor. And I was like, okay. So then they get me in a wheelchair. As soon as Trav gets in there, they put me in a room. So as I'm like being wheeled back, there's all these nurses and they're like, hi. And I'm like, hi, can I have a room that has laughing gas, please? And they're like, yep. You're in room 4. You got laughing gas in there. And I was like, thank you so much. like literally trying to hold us together, but still be polite. Because that's just how I am. I'm like not trying to be an asshole. So I get to the room. The first nurse comes in and I'm like, I need some fucking drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me the drugs.
Like I've been waiting all day for this shit. Hook me
Yes.
up.
So I was like, can I have laughing gas? And she was like, okay, well, we need to have somebody come check you. And I was like, can I please
Girl,
have
tell them
laughing
to
gas?
hurry
Like,
up.
I am in so much pain. And she was like, okay. She was like, here's the thing. You want an epidural, you get the laughing gas, you got to wait an hour for the epidural. So we got to check to see how far along you are before I can, in good conscience, give you this. Because who knows? And
we don't want you to suffer.
so
like
as soon as they came in, I thought they were going to be like, you're 4 centimeters dilated. Because before I went on maternity leave, I was like 2 centimeters dilated, but for like a long time. And that happens at the end of like your trimester, you can become like a little dilated. So long story short, she texted me and she went, okay, you're 8 centimeters dilated. So if you want an epidural, you need it right fucking now. And I was like, oh my God. And Travis was like, oh my fucking God. Because I literally thought she was going to be like, you're 4 or 5 centimeters dilated, babe. Like,
time to hunker down.
Good. Yeah. Like. But no, I was like almost fully fucking. I was like right there. So the lady was like, this is why we didn't. And then I was like, how long does it take to get an epidural? And she was like, we need to get it as soon as possible. Usually it takes about an hour. And then I was like, okay, well, if it's going to take an hour, I want fucking laughing gas. And she was like, babe, you're not going to make it an hour. They're coming like any minute. I'm not giving you the laughing gas unless you really want it. But like, I'm telling you, it's not going to take them an hour to get here. Like, you are high priority right now. They got there in like 10 minutes.
Hell yeah.
And they stuck me in my back and I had to.
How was that?
Honestly, it's not that bad.
Are you sure?
Are you sure? When you're in that much pain, it's not that fucking bad.
True. In comparison,
I was more concerned about, because I was having contractions while he was trying to stick me. I was more concerned about
am I going to move?
But I was honestly before that worried more about getting that giant needle in my back. That was like genuinely one of my fears, because I'm afraid of needles.
When you know that the needle is a means to ending the pain that is ripping through your fucking pussy, like, I mean, I guess that makes it okay.
Yes, and it is rough.
But that needle's big, ain't it?
It's big, but I didn't see it until after he was done. And then it was like, so Travis and his mom were there. They had to leave the room while I got it. So the nurse, sweet little nurse.
So you couldn't hold no hands.
She was holding me. Okay. She had me. You have to like lean over. So she was like hugging my head and like kept keeping my knees together and like grounding me while I was having a contraction. She was so sweet. So finally, it's in. They're like, okay, everything's good. They got me hooked up. Theo's heart rate was a little bit elevated at that point, but I was like, I'm anxious. Also, I've been in labor all fucking day.
Yeah.
So they didn't seem too worried about it. At that point in time, as soon as that shit hit me, it was so fucking weird because I only felt it on one side. And you know what they did? They were like, okay, we'll just put you on your side and it'll drip to the other side of your fucking body.
What?
Isn't that bonkers? I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like, what do you mean? They were like,
so it was just floating around in their
body.
Like, so was it like you could feel nothing or like?
I could feel a little twinge under my left butt cheek. And that was it. And it was to the point I couldn't feel anything. And I was fucking happy as a clam. I was like literally like complimenting the nurses. I was like, you guys are all so pretty. You look like these little models. And at that point in time too, like I had Trav's mom.
Right.
She like very like kindly asked me like if I wanted her in the room with me or not. And she was not going to be offended if I said no. Mm-hmm. And my mom wasn't able to come because I told her not to come that day because I didn't think I was in fucking labor. So she had planned to come 2 days later. She lives in Florida.
Oh.
So I was like, God. You know what? Like, I think I do want you to stay in. If I don't want you to stay in, I'll send you away.
Right.
But in the beginning, I'm like, can you just like stay up by this area so you're not like looking right at my vagina?
Right.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah. Like,
not a big ask.
Yeah. So, and then all that went out the window as soon as I started pushing. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Because there was just like mad nurses just staring right into my vagina. But it was to the point I felt so good. They were bringing in students being like, do you mind if like we have students come in? Because I was just like being like super peachy keen. I was like, oh, you guys are so nice. I was pushing. I was pushing and they would be like, oh, that was such a good push. And I'd be like, thank you so much. Like, I was being so nice to them. Out of here. So they were just like, I had just so many students.
Like, no, you're doing great, actually.
I literally said that. I was like, thank you. You guys are doing such a good job, like helping me through these contractions. Like, we were just complimenting each other. It was so nice.
That's so Sydney.
I had a really good experience in that regard. And so I thought, okay, I'm 8 centimeters dilated. I'm about to get this fucking epidural. I'm going to have this baby any fucking minute.
Right.
Oh, no, bitch. I was so exhausted because I had labored at home for so long that my body was so tired. I could not get this child out. For 5 hours, I was pushing.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No, see?
But I took a break. Another thing to note. When my epidural hit, because I was so tired, I took like an hour nap. I was green in the face. I was unconscious. Travis has pictures of me before my epidural. It's literally me like wincing in pain, like looking, and then it's me like white as a ghost, just like unconscious in the bed, which I'll send to you if you want to like put them in here. But yeah, so it was, I was feeling good and then I couldn't get him out. He kept getting stuck underneath my like pelvic bone.
So did the epidural ever wear off?
No, not for me. And like, there's also like a button that you can press. So if you need more, you can press it and it'll administer more.
Okay.
But it was awesome because like technically my water never broke. So they broke my water, but it was after my epidural hit. So I didn't feel it at all other than like the fluids and stuff.
Right.
Oh shit.
So yeah. So he was a little stressed though. So he actually pooped inside his like birth sac.
And that's when you need to like get him out actually, right?
So no, I pushed for 5 hours after that. It got to the point, I mean, they tried everything. They had brought in this big thing to put over that had like a sheet attached to it, tied to it, and I was pulling on it. But because I was like all belly and he was so low at that point, they were having a hard time like tracking the contractions on the screen. And I couldn't feel fucking dog shit, like anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel anything. So I was basing it all off of like a twinge under my left butt cheek, but I was pushing a lot when I wasn't actually having contractions.
Right.
I would start pushing. They'd be like, I don't think you're actually having a contraction, but I was just exhausting myself. And I didn't, I was trying my best, but they would be like, okay, like try to push. And I would push and they'd be like, that's a great push. And then they would be like, do that again. And I'd be like, I don't fucking know what I just did. Like, I have no idea like what to base it off of. I just was acting like I was pushing out a poop. I was all best way I can describe it is you're just trying to push out the biggest shit you've ever taken in your whole life.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it got to the point where they were like, okay, like we're going to need to help you. So I ended up needing basically like a little plunger. They pop
I
it
needed
right
that
on
as
his
a
head,
baby.
and I pushed and they pulled.
And he was fine.
And he had like a little like funny looking head
suction
shape.
cup mark. Yeah.
And he had like a little hickey on his head. It was so absolutely fucking crazy. When he came out, they like put him on my chest. He was like purple because like,
yeah.
And I was like, is he okay? And they were like, yeah. First thing I noticed about him was he had a little extra finger on his pinky. Because he has like this little tiny skin tag. And then they took him away. And the worst fucking part about the whole thing was I did tear a little bit. I had a second degree tear, so I needed to get stitches.
Did you feel that?
And that, because of all of the adrenaline of pushing out a baby, I felt the whole thing. So they kept trying to like distract me by bringing him over. And I was like, I cannot hold my baby while he's in my vagina giving me stitches. You got to wait. And they were like, well, why don't we bring him over and put him on you so that you're like more just, and I was like, I cannot. I'm fully focused on what's happening. So that was like really uncomfortable. And at that point, I didn't even want.
You're like, what are you going to do? Like, you need to do it. I can't say no.
Right.
Like, so do you remember like how long after that you had Thea did you deliver your placenta?
Oh, that shit was bonkers.
And does that feel like labor too still?
No, here's another thing actually. That reminds me. So after I delivered my placenta, he checked me and I had actually developed a blood clot.
No.
So that was scary because you could tell he was trying to keep his calm, but he was like, there's a pretty big blood clot. I do have to try and get it out. So he was like all the way up there, like trying to open my cervix to get it out. And he was like really struggling. And I was like holding my breath because I was like, oh, fuck, a blood clot. That's the scariest shit ever.
Yeah, that's a trigger word.
And finally he was like, okay, I got it out. Whew. And he literally went, whew.
Shut the
okay, like, do you want to double check that there's like nothing else in there? Like, please. He was like, I can assure you, I got it all out. It was a large blood clot. It all came out in one. There's no breakage or anything.
I'd be like, use the endoscopy machine to make sure that everything's
I'd be like, stick a fucking flashlight up there or something. Do something.
Use that little tool that they use for the cars.
I just trusted him. I was like, I trust him. But yeah, everybody, it's so crazy too, because like right before you have nurses and shit in the room with you.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's like lights and stuff. Also, they asked me if I wanted a mirror.
No. I'm fucking good.
Foot of the bed. And I was like, no, babes, I'm good. I don't. And they were like, well, sometimes that like gives people like, okay, I can see. Because like Travis watched the whole time. He was holding my leg. And he was like, oh yeah, every time you push, you can see his head. And then once you stop, it goes back in.
Right.
So some women, I guess, when they watch, it gives them like the
motivation
drive and the motivation to like push harder. But I was so afraid of shitting on the table too. I was like,
did you?
No, I asked that.
Proud of you, babe.
I asked. That was one of the first things I asked. It was like, did I shit?
Couldn't be Sid.
I said, did I shit? Especially me in my tummy issue.
Yeah.
And I said, did I shit? And Trav said, no. And I said, he might be lying to me. And then I looked at my nurse and I said, did I shit?
The fact that you even considered that he would pull that joke, that's great.
Yeah. And I said, he might be lying to me. And then I looked dead in the nurse's face and I said, did I shit? And she said, no, you didn't, surprisingly. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, shit. Yes, I fucking did that. Nobody can tell me fucking shit. And he was 2.5 weeks early.
Oh my God.
But he was 7 pounds, 6 ounces. So if I had gone full term, I would have had a big ass baby.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
He's growing really fast.
Yeah, and he's a big ass fucking kid.
That's what I was trying to say politely. Yes.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's
in the cutest way possible.
Yeah,
he's
like a little linebacker for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it. And he's like a little meatball. But yeah, so then the next day we had like visitors and stuff like that come. And
was that overwhelming?
Honestly, I thought it would be.
Some people are like, I don't want anyone visiting me.
No, I really wasn't that way. I mean, I thought I was genuinely going to be.
I felt bad when I went to Josh's sister's room after she had her baby because I was like, am I supposed to be here right now? And then everybody was actually happy because I took pictures of everybody holding the baby after, and like everybody was super grateful.
And I will say, right off the fucking rip, if you have a friend that is a mother, take pictures of her and her kid.
For real.
She's taking pictures of her kid with everybody else. If you and her
except
kid,
for her. Yep.
Like her whole family with her kid, but nobody ever stops to fucking think. I have like very little pictures of my kid, and that's my main regret. Is I wish I took more pictures with him. Yeah. Luckily, I mean, I do have a video coming out. I tried to watch it once when I was feeling sentimental. I couldn't finish the video. Some people are like, "Oh my God, I get so emotional. I watch my birth video all the time. Couldn't fucking be me." I tried it once and I was like, ugh, I don't want to.
So thinking back on your experience, some people are like, I feel like home births are like trending right now.
So
do you think you could have done it at home?
I think that I was not able to handle the pain at that point. I think that I handled the pain as good as I could. And I want to say, yes, I could, because if I really put my mind to shit, I'll get it fucking done.
Right.
But I'm all the power in the world to all moms that can do natural births. However, you do not get a fucking gold star for doing that. And I think that like I think it's very empowering for women who are like, or just people in general, because like it's 2025, like people have babies that aren't women these days. And I think that it's like very empowering to go through a natural birth because you really do push your body past the point that it like you think you can. I did that. Even just going to 8 centimeters dilated.
Right.
I'm fucking
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, it's wild.
A lot of people cannot do that.
Right.
At the same, like, and I also understand, like, people that do plan to have births and they have to have emergency C-sections and it's all, they're not in control of anything happening.
Right. That's got to be terrifying.
100%.
Like, to have it so planned out and then be like, nope, we need to actually cut you open.
And, like, how heartbreaking, too. Like, because you do all that prep for it. But I understand why women do it in situations like that. But I also think that, like, if you want to give it a try, but don't.
But you should have a plan B too, though.
Yeah, like have a backup plan and be easy on yourself. Like if you need the fucking epidural, like it's okay. Like I'm not kidding. If I had such a better experience at that point when
you could be more present.
Yeah, and
like she was inviting the nurses in the room,
right?
And like I'm just like complimenting the nurses on how gorgiana they all are, and they were. And I had not showered the whole day, so I was certainly not looking good. But they were lying to me right back, and I loved it. It was so nice though. Yeah, it was a really good experience. The only thing I don't love was that the lactation consultants did not fully like drive it in that like you need to get your baby to latch. Thea would not latch.
Okay.
And he was really, really sleepy. He was a sleepy boy. Because he has, when you're epidural, the baby basically comes out like pretty like they're tired, they're loopy. They're
of course.
Plus he's like, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
So he was exhausted. It was really hard for me to get him to latch. Because also, like, skin to skin, like, what babies are that little, they fall asleep when they're, like, feeling your skin. So he would, like, latch, and then he would just immediately fall asleep. So they were just giving me formula for him. Because he couldn't latch, they were just basically, like, I was just feeding him formula because I wanted him to eat.
Right.
There's no shame. Babies need to fucking eat,
of course.
Really. But on the last visit, they were like, what? Like the one consultant came in and she was a real ass bitch. And she was like, you need to go home and pump or you're not going to be able to breastfeed. Like, I don't know what they
like it's do or die type thing.
You need to go home and you need to pump for the rest of the day.
Right.
And really like you need to like encourage your milk to come in because like it needs to come in.
And was that why he wasn't latching? Because it wasn't coming in?
No, because like in the beginning, it's like not milk. It takes a couple days. It's like, so it's colostrum at first. And like a baby's tummy at first is like literally so tiny that they only really need a couple drops to like be straight.
Yeah.
But he wasn't latching. So like the colostrum comes in and that's like really the good stuff. And then, like, as you're getting all the colostrum out, like, encourages your body to make milk. Okay. And it's supply and demand. So if you're latching all the time, that's what cluster feeding is. When babies are about to hit a growth spurt, they are trying to get more milk out. And if it's not, that's why it's so horrible because they're screaming and crying the whole time because your breasts are, like, learning to make enough milk to like, basically get your baby to like, be fully fed and good.
Holy shit.
So I didn't, like, nobody really taught me that shit. So I have a friend, Anna. She has 4 kids. You met her.
Yeah.
She really was the one to help me, like, understand, like, how that really works. And, like, I feel like a lot of women nowadays, like, although I'm not ashamed that he was, like, mostly formula fed, because I mean, against all odds, did breastfeed him till he was 10 months old, but never exclusively.
Okay.
Which I definitely want to try and do that our next child.
But well, you don't know what you don't know.
Well, also, like, good for you for being so honest, because I feel like so many moms, like, that's such, like, a controversial topic for them, of whether you breastfeed or you formula feed or you do a combination of both. And I feel like there's, like, some weird, like, you could probably correct me on this, but I feel like there's some weird, like, shaming kind of shit going on.
There's 100%. Yeah. And you know what? It is.
I've heard people say that.
It is best. Breast milk is
free.
Is best. It's free, and it's your baby is you know, getting the best shit. But really, your baby fed is best.
Fed is best.
Because in my opinion,
but a boy gotta eat. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Like, that's what I mean.
And to be able to stay at home and be able to go through a breastfeeding journey
just
is
about
like
to say that.
Really like kind of an awesome thing to do.
100%. And I'm so thankful that I had that experience because there are women that, I mean, FMLA, it took me 6 weeks just to fucking get it.
Right.
There are women that are single mothers that give birth without, you know, the other parent in the picture.
Right.
Or family around even. They have to go back to work after 6 weeks. They don't, I had family and Trav and you know, his mom helps, my family helped, friends helped. Like,
takes a village.
Really, it does. And like, there are so many people that don't have a village.
Yeah, so I remember there was a girl like that I worked with, and we had to set up a whole room for her at work so that she could breastfeed, just a pump. Yeah. Like, we shut down a whole room in the eye doctor's office, but like, she was so exhausted, like, because she had to come to work and breastfeed, like, and she was worrying about the baby. She would go home on her lunch breaks to breastfeed the baby. She's like, it's just not the same.
Yeah,
like,
it's not. It's really not. And like the fact that, I mean, we live in a country that does not fucking give a shit about mothers. It doesn't.
I mean, Jersey's a good state. Jersey at least has like mandatory maternity leave. And like Pennsylvania, you just get FMLA, and like if that's it. Like once you're done your FMLA, you may not even get paid.
Yeah.
Like,
they do that, and also like bonding.
What's that?
Like, so you get 6 weeks disability, and then you get like, I think, another 8 weeks bonding time.
What? That's insane.
For Jersey, yeah. I think it was that.
See, but that was PA, and that's progressive.
I mean, I didn't go back to work till Theo was 4 months old. And I have friends in other countries, it's at minimum a year to 2 years to 3 years to fucking 4 years, which is bonkers. But like, 4 months in this country is still technically pretty good, which is fucking crazy. And then I went back to work, and then I ended up becoming a stay-at-home mom because I was like, I'm unwilling and incapable of working this job anymore. The hotel was not. I was like, I'm not covering an overnight shift. Not doing it. But I was pumping in my office. I was pumping multiple times a day. And then I would go home and I just feed it right to him.
That's the kind of shit that we never hear about. Like, you never hear about that shit. You just see the moms on Instagram posting pictures of their baby, like cutesy little photos, like you did the other day in the snow. That's all you ever see, but you don't hear about all this other shit.
Right. And you know what people also don't talk about a lot is the fact that most people that are staying at home with their families are not, their partner is not fucking making 6 figures a year.
Right.
I mean, Travis and I wasn't paying a credit card for 5 months to make it work. Right. I just started paying this credit card back.
Right.
I mean, you have to pick and choose. Like Trav like makes K a year.
Right.
For solo, that's pretty standard. Yeah. For a family of 3, that's not enough.
I mean, grand with a family of 3, you qualify for food stamps.
You don't.
What?
You don't.
Casey.
I didn't get food stamps. I had to pay formula out of pocket.
You didn't get WIC?
No, I didn't.
Shut the fuck up.
We didn't qualify.
That don't surprise me at this rate.
Yeah, we made too much money. I was literally working on weekends at Evermore at the coffee shop to pay for formula.
Babe, they should have paid you in cash.
Oh, I literally, and of course Theo, this bougie ass, he had to eat Alimentum, the hypoallergenic formula. I mean, and it always comes in smaller quantities and it's more expensive.
Yeah, they're like $25 a can for a small can.
More than that, babe.
I bought Similac for a client not too long ago, and it was like $25 for an 8-ounce can.
Oh yeah, let's see, how much is Alimentum Similac? Right now, for Alimentum, it's a small can, $35, and that lasted Theo maybe a day and a half.
See, and that's fucked up because how is $1,000 a year supposed to pay for all of that shit?
Exactly, but I did not qualify for WIC.
But you don't, because you're right there on that fucking line. When you dance on that fine line, you can't have shit. The government hates you.
Yeah, literally the government hates you. Same thing in the last, for almost a full year, I was a stay-at-home mom. Or for pretty much a full year, I was a stay-at-home mom, minus the weekends. And we still needed to ask for help from family and shit.
Right.
And even though Theo was planned, we did not even factor in the crazy scenario that he might. I thought I was going to exclusively breastfeed. That was the journey that I wanted and expected. So
it wasn't a financial thing that you factored into.
I did not factor in needing to pay $125 a fucking week for my kid.
That's insane.
A week.
Right.
I was eating fucking bread and soup.
Yeah, you're like, ice soup for dinner for real.
And also, what's crazy is when you're breastfeeding, even just sitting still, you burn 2,000 calories a day.
And then you need to nourish yourself. So you really need to feed yourself and make sure you're putting good shit in your body.
And you need water and you need, So it's absolutely bonkers.
Alex's cousin has been breastfeeding and she carries around a gallon jug of water with her all the time. She's really intentional about I will be able to keep breastfeeding as long as I keep staying hydrated. That bitch sends me, when we're down the shore, she sends me to CVS for liquid IV. She pounds them.
Yeah. And that's fucking awesome.
And she's still going strong.
She probably makes a great supply. Yeah. It's, it really is. And the stress too of it all. Oh my gosh, this was 100% one of the busy, the most difficult, if not the most difficult year of my life. As much as it was also the most magical because I had my baby and I got to stay at home with him and I didn't want anybody else experiencing the milestones that I got to experience.
Right.
That it was all worth it, but it was fucking hard. And
probably lonely too, right?
So lonely, dude. Oh my God. I'm so happy that I was able to actually make friends all through the coffee shop. Literally every single friend I've made is through the coffee shop, and basically you're an extension of that.
Yeah.
So
I've been into the coffee shop.
I know, but that's what I mean. I even met you at Evermore, technically.
Right. Yep.
So but all of the friends I made are also moms for the most part as well, and it was I've never. Once you're a mom, oh my gosh, you don't realize, I think that I'm a pretty supportive person to all my friends, especially the friends that I have known that have had babies.
Right.
My sister had a baby before me, right? I thought I was very supportive to her. Oh my gosh, until you have a kid, you don't fucking realize how lonely it is. And I wish that I extended myself more than I did
to other
people that I knew that had babies before me. Because, even just having somebody come over and sit and have coffee with you.
Right.
Even now with a toddler, that shit slaps. Imagine you're home all day.
And having friends to entertain your toddler on top of that.
Yes, yeah.
Or even have adult conversation.
That was the thing. I didn't have, I was basically fucking Miss Rachel
Dead
all day long to Theo. And then half the time too, Trav, hats off to him, God bless. But he would come home and he would be exhausted from work.
Right.
And he would want to it took a lot of communication between the two of us to make it all work too, because you also need to actively try and connect with your partner.
I was just going to ask you how that dynamic has shifted
hard.
since you.
And it still is. Sometimes I'll realize, I didn't even kiss my partner today.
Right.
Prior to having a baby, we were all the most affectionate, kissy, huggy, holding hands kind of partner, But sometimes, he would want to come home and he'd want to get a shower and he'd want to go play video games and unwind from his day of work. And I'll like, I just need you to talk to me. Like, and like he now, like it took, you know, like no time basically. He would be like, oh, I totally understand where you're coming from. But we had to have like conversations about that because I would be like, dude, I literally spoke to a 6-month-old all day.
Right.
He doesn't talk back.
Right. That's gotta be so boring at times though, right? Like realistically, like people make it seem magical, but like at times it has to be boring. It can
be, but like also like it's just, I mean, I don't know. I really love being a mom. I love it more than absolutely anything. I was the type of person where prior to having babies, when Trav and I would talk about having babies, I would be like, you can stay at home with the baby and I'll work. Because I was like that bitch that was like, I'm an independent woman.
Right.
I'm a career woman. I love working. I took such pride in the work. Fuck that. I'll stay at home and cook and clean and take care of all the kids. I'll be like a fucking Susie Homemaker, what do they call that?
Trad wife.
I'm happy to do that. Trad wife, literally. I'm happy to do that.
Sans the fucking crazy Christianity part.
Yeah, and I try not to judge any moms because everybody that does that shit, they have their reasons for doing it. Everybody has a reason for doing shit. Sometimes I just don't agree.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like, I love being a mom. I love it more than any other. It's the best job in the world and it is a fucking job. And even now, like I work a full-time job. And I come home and I work another full-time job.
And you just went back into full-time work, right?
Yep, just did. And it was so fucking hard. And that's another thing people don't talk about a lot is like how difficult it is to put your child in the hands of somebody that like you don't really know. You're just trusting that they know what's best for your kid or trusting that you're making the best decision for your child. And like, dude, mom guilt in itself is so fucking like it runs so deep. Like it, literally, my son technically isn't really even delayed yet because it's 18 months is like the speech thing, but he's not talking really a lot at all. Technically, if it gets to the point where it's a speech delay, like it's still just a delay. He'll catch up. You go to early intervention. There's no shame in it, you know?
Yeah.
But as a mom, you're just like, I didn't do enough. I didn't read him enough books. I didn't, oh my gosh, I'm not talking to him enough throughout the day. Maybe I give him too much independent play. Like your mind goes to crazy places.
And some of those can be intrusive thoughts too.
I was very intrusive.
How do you think that takes a toll on your mental health?
I was just going to ask that question.
Absolutely.
Bitch, we're the same.
You guys are the same. Yeah. It really, I mean, my mental health ebbs and flows a lot. It's a little bit better now. And I do plan to take like antidepressants and stuff. That's another thing. Me being a little crunchy girl, I didn't want to take antidepressants or anxiety medication while I was pregnant / breastfeeding. It takes a real big toll on your mental health. It really does. A lot of people don't talk about it. And like another thing too is like moms that like need help. The help that they need very rarely is for you to come over and like take their baby from them and like hold them while the mom does shit.
Right.
I was really, really blessed with like family that knew that and they would come over and they would be like, you sit and you hold your baby. I'll do the dishes. Let me get your house clean for you. That shit, if anybody that's listening knows a new mom, go over and ask what they need help with. Right. And it's not, I guarantee you it's not the fucking baby unless they need to go take a shower. Like, it's probably like, oh my gosh, like, please take the trash out. It's been there for 3 days. Oh my gosh, like, please, can you just help, like, flip laundry? Like, whatever. Can you fold laundry? Can you just put it upstairs? Can you wash my bed sheets for me? I got milk and baby pee all over it. Like, it's like, I mean, you really don't know until you get there. And like, so I just encourage everybody to like really like sit and be present and like listen and like hear the people in
not
your
give the
life
help
that
that you want to give and you feel like you should give, but
like
what they
everybody
actually
like
need.
super fun. You get to cuddle a baby. Everybody wants that shit, but the mom really wants to not be overwhelmed by the fucking pile of shit that's not in its typical house. Like, you know?
And I feel like it could feel like shit when everyone's like, I want to come see the baby. And you're like, who wants to come see me?
100%. Yes.
And you know what? I actually have an extension off of your question. Have you noticed a shift in your mental health from being a stay-at-home mom to now being back full-time?
Yes.
Okay.
It's getting a little bit easier now, but when I first went back full time and I first like put him in daycare, I was like so depressed. I was like, I'm not doing the right thing. I didn't spend enough time with him. Maybe he's not ready for this. Like maybe I'm not ready for this. Like, you know, it is really, really difficult to like, there's never, never feels right. So it was a really difficult like transition for me. But I will say it gets a little bit easier now. Right now, he's in his screeching temper tantrum phase. So now it's not fun at all to drop him off at daycare because I know that they're not having a good time. So now I'm also picking him up.
You can't even have that peace of mind while he's there.
Yeah, like there was like a small period of time where I was getting kind of like, it was nice. I was able to like, I would get off work, I'd go home. There would be like another hour before I would pick him up and I would keep the house, you know, get it in line or like even just sit and just fucking enjoy the silence. Like, so, I mean, it like, yeah, it was definitely rough. I definitely decided after returning back to work that, okay, now I need antidepressants. Like I need to start to take better care of my mental health because I started having like episodes and like, you know, my anxiety is bad. Like, I mean, even Trav, like you get separation anxiety. So like Travis sometimes, like I know I probably drive him nuts because I'm always like, okay, like make sure you brush his teeth and make sure you know he's got a change of clothes here and like also like here's some ideas for lunch and he's like, dude, like I know how to take care of my kid, like and it's not like I'm assuming he doesn't, but
you just want to make sure that he's
like, you're just on all the time.
Yeah, because that was that was my full-time job. So
yeah. Did you ever feel like it was more work than going to work?
It can be because you can't clock out.
Right.
So like what's a realistic day in the life of a stay-at-home mom like?
Do you want me to go with like an infant, with a newborn? Like what kind? Because there's different phases and it looks
Give me your wildest day as a stay-at-home
wildest day as a stay-at-home mom is waking up every 3 hours to feed my kid, whether it be on my boob or giving him a bottle and pumping simultaneously.
Right.
Finally waking up, starting the day really at like 6:37. Going downstairs. I mean, the worst time when he was cluster feeding, I probably was up for almost 24 hours. Because like when he would go to sleep too, I would be like, okay, I don't even know if I should start doing the dishes because he's gonna wake up in fucking 10 minutes. Like it's rough. And like, I mean, you've been into my house on a bad day. It looks like a tornado hits. And I could clean the house the day before.
Right.
Like there's never, like our house is just in constant disarray and like.
I mean, that's a normal household.
Yeah, but it's
I work with families and go into about 8 families' homes a week. And I've never seen a household that did not look like children. Like the households look like children live there and that's like, how they should look.
100%.
And people always apologize to me. They're like, I'm sorry. Like this looks crazy. I'm like, dude, this is how it should look.
Yeah,
you should have shit everywhere. You have kids.
Yeah, and clearly they're enjoying themselves.
Right. That means to me that you have a happy child.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you're spending time with them instead of cleaning up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Actually, I have a question kind of based off of your question. If you're like, I don't know if you're like an OCD, like tidy kind of person, I was
diagnosed OCD, babe.
Yeah. Was that fucking hard after now you have a child that's throwing shit everywhere?
I mean,
I can't even imagine.
I'm never relaxed.
When my animals.
I'm constantly worrying about everything being in disarray.
So what kind of OCD are you? Like, I need things clean or like I need to do this 8 times or something's going to die?
Both.
Or are you like an organized, like things need to be put back in their place?
And also I'm an OCD person as well. Like, similar to like an ADHD pile. I have like OCD piles where I'm like, I don't know where this goes, but it needs to go here.
Okay, yeah.
And also like I could have like a mess, but if it's my mess, I'm cool with it being there. If it's Trav's mess as well, I'm like, why the fuck are you leaving a mess?
Oh my God, that's how I am with our bedroom.
You have 20 things on the table today. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to clean them up.
Yeah.
And you're not going to clean them up.
And the difference is that I have to tell you to clean it up.
Yeah. And that's, but like, yeah.
But things need to go in a certain place for me too.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
And also I do like, I'll leave the house and I'll like, that's another thing too. I have irrational fears that like the house is going to catch on fire when I leave. It's like, I'm not kidding. I leave the house, put Theo in the car, run back inside, check the lock, go back into my car, put my car in reverse. Let me just check one more time, put it back in park, get out, check the door. Then I get halfway down the driveway and I'm like, let me pull back up, check the door again. Like I'm like, and also I'll run back inside 3 times to make sure that I didn't leave the burners on or you know, that like randomly sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I have an old outlet. Let me unplug the TV for some fucking reason. Like, I just get really like weird with that stuff.
That must have been so hard, like adjusting with now having a toddler where he's like just throwing stuff all over the place all the time. Like, and like you're like trying to, you know, make sure that everything kind of goes back in its place.
And also having health anxiety, which we can have a whole thing about health anxiety.
Yeah.
I have severe health anxiety.
That might be a girls versus world conversation,
But having health anxiety when you have a baby,
crazy. God.
And you have to like think rationally and be like, okay, there's no, he's not dying.
That would be my thought is like, you're dying or I'm going to kill you.
Dude, he literally was like he lost like less than 10% of his body weight week 1. He was like underweight, which that's when they were like, stop trying to breastfeed so much and put him on, he's going to have to be on formula for a while and we can revisit the breastfeeding thing. Which I was still pumping, but that's like really when that started because I was not getting him enough nutrition. And I was so concerned that he was going to die.
Did they diagnose him with failure to thrive?
No.
No, okay.
No, they just said he's less than 10%. He's lost less than 10% or more than 10% of his body weight.
So that's like when kids meet like a certain criteria of like not meeting like being underweight or like not growing like as rapidly as they should.
He
or
was like they were just like, I mean, I was taking him to the doctor every 2 days.
Yeah.
And they were reweighing him and stuff. And I was crying constantly and it was so stressful. But yeah, I mean, I was really convinced. And like, even like the sleeping thing too, because like SIDS is like the scariest shit of all time. I was like, even now he's a toddler. And like, sometimes I just wake up in the middle of the night in a panic if he's actually sleeping in his bed. Cause I'm like, well, what if his blanket goes over his head and he can't get out? Like, just constantly, I'm like thinking shit, and it's all irrational. God. And I'm like, okay.
But here's the thing: SIDS is not an irrational fear.
It's not. It's a very real thing.
I've consoled many mothers that have lost their children from a SIDS-related death, and they have it's shattered me every fucking time I've done it.
Yeah, even the idea of it, I can't even imagine
the guilt that comes with it. Like, I had a mom that like woke up and she was laying on top of her baby because she was so fucking exhausted. Like,
I do think though that like babies, like they fall like too deeply asleep. That can cause it. Like they could just stop breathing.
Well, and they also say like even in cribs, like if you have loose things in their crib, it can like suffocate them.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's it too. Like they'll be asleep and they're just like suffocating because they don't have the wherewithal to like move their body and move their neck and like stuff like that until they get that instinct.
That's why I'm terrified to have a newborn.
I'd be
like, I would be okay with a kid if I got him at Theo's age now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's too many ways that things can go wrong when you're this tiny and like new to the world.
But Theo's like a year and a half old.
You don't
now,
have
right?
an immune system. Like,
and that's
got to be scary.
That's scary. Again, health anxiety. Like it was so terrifying to me because that was my thing too. Is I was totally cool with people coming to meet him, but only in like a direct group. Like everybody else, you had to wait a month.
That segues me into a great question because I wanted to ask you how your ability to have boundaries has changed since you've become a mom. Because I'm sure you've had to like really be like, no, this is what we're doing. This is what we're not doing.
100%. And there have been many situations that I will not elaborate on for the respective people, but there have been many situations with like family members and friends, that it was not received well on their end, and it did cause like a thing, and to some degree, like it got to the point where I'm like, it is what it fucking is. Like I know what's best for my kid more than anybody else knows what's best for my child, and like I'm going to like ask questions, and I'm going to like worry, and I'm going to like check you and make sure that everything's okay. You're sure though, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it because God forbid I don't ask and something goes wrong. I have to live with that. So as somebody that had a difficult time setting boundaries, I can say that was way easier after having a child because like, it's not hurting me, babe.
It's hurting the kid. Right.
Good for you, Mama Bear.
Yeah, that is not,
Fuck around and find out, for real.
Yeah, literally. So, and I'm not opposed. Obviously, like I want anybody that like loves my child, I want them to be around my child.
Of course.
At the same time, like if you're going to be disrespectful to like me and my boundaries, like that means that you're potentially going to be disrespectful to my child and his boundaries.
Exactly.
And like, that's the type of person where like, it's like, oh, do you want to give that person a hug? No? Okay. You don't. And then they're like, wait, no, give me a hug.
Right.
Come on, give me a hug. no, you're going to respect my child's boundaries as well. And I'm going to, like, my boundary is that you need to respect my kid's boundaries and his safety and all that stuff. So yeah, that is definitely a thing. And like, don't kiss my kid. Like, I've had to tell multiple family members.
Oh my God.
Like,
you don't kiss my baby. And if you try and kiss my baby, you don't get to fucking hold my baby.
What about that one guy in that store? That was,
yeah.
Can you tell us that real quick?
Yeah, we were in Wegmans one time and it was Trav and I. And like, for some fucking reason, when you have a baby, everyone feels entitled to your fucking baby. They just do. It's the weirdest thing of all time. Not just to your baby, but to touching your baby.
That's so
rude. Strangers.
That's insane. Like,
Especially
you could be a predator.
Yeah, and especially in grocery stores. So one time we were in a Wegmans, and Trav was there with me this time, and we were in the frozen food aisle, and there was a guy that was delivering food, and he was like, "Oh, well, hey, little dude." Normal.
Right.
Cool. We like chuckled and kept it moving. We're halfway down the aisle and we notice that he is following behind us. And he's like, "I'm going to call him Mr. Giggles." And I'm like, haha, okay, cool. Have a good day. And then I'm on one side of the cart. Trav's on the other side of the cart, like by the like handle. And Theo's obviously in between, sitting in the seat. And we see a hand go. And he goes, "Why don't you give me a high five, dude?" Travis grabbed that man's arm and went, "No," and threw it and was like, "You don't touch my kid." And he went, "Sorry about that, dude. Have a good day." And Trav went, "Have a great day, man." And that was that. And I was like,
the audacity.
Crazy.
I didn't say a goddamn word. And Travis immediately was like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, don't apologize to me. I'm applauding you because if you didn't do that, I will.
You literally telling that story is making my heart like mine go up
too.
Right now. Yeah.
And like, I feel bad to some degree because I'm a people pleaser. I'm sure that it's very possible that is a man that wanted kids, never could have kids, really loves kids.
Ask permission.
Right. I also don't fucking know you.
Right.
You don't get to just touch my kid.
Yeah.
There's been multiple times too where like little old ladies especially, they'll like come over and touch, try and touch his face. And I'll be like, "Please don't touch." I didn't touch
Theo for the first 3 times I met him.
Right. Yeah. You just don't. Or like, I mean, even
you
like
ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
it takes 2 seconds to ask.
I think you asked me to hold Theo. And that was the first time that I ever actually touched him.
Yeah, and like we're not like weird with people that we know, like holding him.
Yeah.
But if I don't fucking know you, don't touch him without, whatever.
Right.
But, like, why would you even want to touch a child that you don't know? Like, well, that's so fucking weird.
I don't
why
understand
do you feel like you're so entitled? Especially if people like have had kids before, they think that like any child is like fair game they can touch.
That's crazy.
It's so weird. Or like, trying to kiss their hands.
People
and
think
shit.
they are the baby whisperer.
It's so weird, yeah. And then they get butt hurt when you say no, especially older ladies. They get fucking pissed.
I get that, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't give a shit. See you later, Shirley. I don't fucking
That's my grandmother's name. Stop.
Yeah, it's kind of bonkers. Like, there's so much shit that comes with it. And like, yeah, I'll argue with a bitch in the grocery store if she has a problem with not touching my kid.
As you should.
But what adult is like by themselves in a grocery store and starts talking to a kid and doesn't stop to think, whoa, this might be a little weird. I might be looked at a little weird right now.
Strange ones, or people that have had kids. And like also there's like, I don't know, there's like different brands of that. And like some of them are a little bit less like insufferable than others.
Right.
But like, bro. I don't fucking know you. Why are you trying to tickle my kid's feet, weirdo?
Literally,
fucking
what a freaking weirdo.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I have one more story that I want you to tell us as we're wrapping this up. The story of you leaving the hospital.
Oh, God.
This one's a good one, Casey.
Okay.
I'm excited for you.
But all your stories are pointing me towards I don't want a child.
This is the best form of birth control.
Don't let it, like, I will say, don't let it deter you. Because if you are somebody that actually wants kids, it is the most magical, wonderful, amazing, life-changing, gives you like sense of like, I don't know,
purpose,
meaning,
yeah,
purpose. Like even on my worst days, I'm like, I gotta pick my shit up and get myself together for my kid. Like it really does. Like selfishly too, if you're sad and you just go over and give your kid a hug, like it just it makes everything seem like less horrible than it is. So 10 out of 10 recommend. But anyway, so we were leaving the hospital I was fucking ready. I was like, I cannot wait to go home. I can't wait to see my babies, my animals. My mom and Trav's mom had both stayed over for like 2 nights together in our house. And they had like cleaned the whole thing, which was so nice. My mom got my car detailed. So I'm like being wheeled out. I have my baby in my arms. And it's this beautiful sunny day, birds chirping, la, 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 la. The car is pulled up and parked. And the car seat safety person is giving Travis a tutorial on how to safely put the baby in the car seat, how to safely have the car seat, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So the side that the car seat is on is behind the passenger seat. And in order to get it in, he had to go onto behind the actual driver's seat in the back seat. He had to go in and pull it to get it hooked up to something to keep it sturdy.
There's all these hooks and different
the anchor points.
And I was I'm just gonna let him. I'm still not 100% feeling confident about putting that shit. But so he goes to the other side of the car. I'm minutes away from putting my newborn baby in his car seat and getting in the car and driving home. So that's anxiety inducing in itself.
Right. Yeah, I won't drive anybody's kids in the car. Yeah. No.
Yeah, and so Trav goes to the other side behind the driver's seat, opens the car up. He's half his body in the car, half his body with his legs out of the car, trying to get it all sorted. And a fucking car comes right next to our car and nearly took Travis's fucking legs off and clipped the door and pushed the door all the way, pushed it into the other door in front. And then it was stuck to their car, and then they reversed and they tried to back up, and they literally almost broke both of Trav's legs. If he hadn't seen what was about to happen and fully nosedived into the car, they would have his legs are here. The door is sticking out maybe that much more, and they clipped that part of the car, that door. And so they basically we got in a car accident right outside the fucking hospital. I was like, this is a bad omen. I cannot drive. Right. Oh my God, stay another night. I was tweaking and make
me back, Dom. Take me back.
Yeah, and I'm a nice, sweet, kind person, I like to say.
Okay? You definitely are.
But I'm also a confrontational ass bitch.
Right.
And I didn't give a fuck. They were two old people. One of them was the old man driving and his wife was in the passenger seat. And as soon as they hit the car, I stood up with my baby in my arms. Once they started to back up, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Holding my newborn baby, standing up. And the nurses were like, all right, mama, sit down. You're still healing. You got stitches. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you fucking stupid? Literally tweaking out. And my mom is also there. And she so they pulled away. And then my mom.
They did a hit and run?
No, they pulled away and they parked.
Okay, I was about to say that's wild.
But my car door was literally going the complete opposite
direction.
Right,
of course.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hyperextended. Yeah,
hyperextended.
Yeah.
And so I was my whole fucking door is fucked. What is going on? So my mom even was yelling at them, and it was a whole thing. And I feel bad in hindsight. They were an older couple. They had their daughter had cancer, so they had just found out that their daughter had cancer, and they were coming to the hospital. But I was like, okay,
slow it
but
down, Grandpa.
You almost killed my fucking partner.
Right.
I get it, dude, but at the same time, that's not my fucking problem.
Yeah, what the fuck?
And I can't drive my newborn baby home.
Right.
So we ended up having a rental car for the first 2 weeks, and it was a hot mess. It was a whole thing.
That is
But how
what?
The worst possible scenario when you're leaving a hospital trying to get your baby in the car. What the fuck? I was like, girl, I need to go home and sage. I gotta fucking read the tea leaves.
Need to go home and not leave the house ever again.
Hunker down. And I think I don't think I really left for 2 weeks. I was
wow.
And Travis, he was so fucking scared. He was dude, I felt so bad. On the way home, he started getting real emotional. And he was like, I thought that I wasn't gonna be able to take care of my kid. I thought I was gonna be in a wheelchair. I thought I was just not gonna be accessible. We have a newborn baby, and I thought I was just gonna be fucking useless. No, not able to even walk. So it was almost really bad. Thank God, or the universe, or Bob, or whoever you want to thank,
right?
That everything was good. But what the fuck, dude?
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Thing.
Oh my God, holy shit! Mm-hmm. I think it's about time to roll the outro music.
Yeah. Absolutely, let's wrap it.
So on that note, have kids and love them.
We're not.
Kids are so fun.
All right, talk to you soon on the next URL versus IRL.
I just need everybody to know. Nobody fucking told me this, and I was furious. They tell you all about childbirth, that you can like rip to your asshole and get stitches and all that good shit. They don't tell you about how bad your fucking ass hurts.
Like immediately after or randomly?
No, the whole thing. Your ass hurts when you're in labor and you're having contractions. Your ass hurts when you're pushing. Your ass hurts because you pushed and now you got a fucking Hemi. Your ass hurts now every time you take a shit because your butthole's bleeding. My butt has never recovered. My butt is not the same. I do not have the same ass.
Do you get random butt pains still?
Oh, I cannot poop without having I gotta go to the doctor, babe. Like, I need everybody to know your ass is going to hurt through the whole process, and it is the worst part. It is the worst part. You cannot sit down after you give birth, babe, without like groaning a little bit. Like, it's bad, and nobody talks about it. So I need everybody to fucking know that if you want to have babies, prepare for your ass to hurt.
That is birth control for you.
It is the worst shit of all time, literally. Literally.
One bout of constipation, I'm down for the count, dude, so I could never.
Like, I have never taken so many like stool softeners in my life. So I just need everybody to know that. I want to make it clear. Your ass will hurt. It will not feel good. And you know what? I've even heard when you have a fucking somehow when you have a C-section, your ass will still hurt somehow. Like, what the fuck?
No escape.
Even if you're not pushing, that shit hurts. Like, that sucks. God. So yeah, I need everybody to know, like, prepare your ass, because that shit is hurting forever.
Oh my God.
Like, forever and ever and ever. End scene.
End scene.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you next Tuesday.